no matter how small we think we all are. We gotta keep trying, no matter how small we think we all are. We gotta keep trying, because nobody is free until everybody is free. Nobody is free until everybody is free. Everybody is free. We'll weave a new cloth, one thread at a time, till justice and love are fully entwined. Our future is waiting, let's make it arrive. The people's power will topple the towers, because we kept trying. People's power will topple the towers, because we kept trying. Bend the arc towards justice, be courageous, not cautious, raise the people over profits, human rights before economics. Bend the arc towards justice, be courageous, not cautious, raise the people over profits, human rights before economics. Bend the arc towards justice, be courageous, not cautious, raise the people over profits, human rights before economics. Bend the arc towards justice, be courageous, not cautious, raise the people over profits, human rights before economics. Fight the pharaohs and the fascists, because nobody is free until everybody is free. 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 Everybody is free.
Good morning. We welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether you're here in person or on Zoom, or watching a recording of us from the future, perhaps on some other day of the week. My name is Enta, and I will be your service weaver this morning. Those of us physically present today gather on the ancestral land of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are the treaty holders of this place, as well as the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Wendat peoples, all of whom lived here before me and are living here now, together with other First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Today we gather to talk about activism, or deliberate, principled action for the common good. An ancient Haudenosaunee philosophy known as the seventh generation principle stipulates that the actions we take today should result in a just, sustainable world 7 generations into the future. Several hundred years ago, a little south of us, just on the other side of Lake Ontario, the seventh generation principle was codified in the Great Law of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which itself has shaped everything from politics to ceremony to human relations within the Six Nation Confederacy on this and other territories ever since. As I stand on this land today, an uninvited guest descended from migrants and colonizers, I ask myself, 7 generations from now, what echoes of my actions today will remain in this place? What of my present-day relationships with the land and water, the first peoples of this land, the truths of past and present colonial violence? How will my values and actions in these relationships live on? Please take a moment now to consider these questions yourself in relationship to this land, or if you are joining us virtually, the land you are on. We begin service by co-creating a sacred space. I invite you to join me now in either reading or listening to our invocation, whose words are now projected on screen. Let us cast the circle. Thank you. I now have two jobs for you. The first is to attend to your devices. If you have a device that you need at hand to participate more fully in the service, please make sure you got it with you. If you have one that might distract with buzzing or beeping or tasks to be done after the service, please take a moment to turn it off or silence it. Task 2 is to greet your neighbors, and today, in the spirit of our theme of ingathering, I'd like to challenge you to make sure you greet a neighbor who perhaps you haven't seen before or haven't seen in a while. And after you've greeted a few neighbors in the space, turn to the camera on the back and offer a greeting to our Zoomers and our people from the future on YouTube. I see you, future watcher. Hi. Susanne will sound a chime to end. Now take a moment to greet those around you. Thank you. Today, our chalice will be lit by our friend David Renzetti. Instead of lighting our chalice anew, we'll be taking the light from our children's lantern, an affirmation that all children, all former children, and all inner children are welcome and celebrated in this space, exactly as you are. Please join in singing our chalice lighting song. Susanne, I know you have some good centering music for us.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, there we go. I'm opening our service today with an original song called My Ally Lullaby. It's not a lullaby. I just like the sound of that in the title. It's actually more of a call to action. It's my reflections on being an ally to social justice and human rights issues that may not apply to me, but that I want to support. Let's put it that way. Sometimes we need to stay behind, follow the lead, don't undermine. We are called to listen. We are called to listen. Sometimes we need to show up beside, sing with the choir, amplify. We are called to courage. We are called to courage. Sometimes we need to go before, use privilege to shield and break down doors. We action. We are called to action. Apathy is intolerable. There is no time to stall. We will afflict the comfortable as we respond to these calls. Our work may seem invisible. Our resistance seems small, but all lives are political. Liberation is for all. All lives are political. Liberation is for all. Liberation is for all. Is for all.
Thank you, Susanne. And now we continue in sacred space. We thank all the many staff and volunteers who have created this service, with extra big thanks to Leslie Solomonia, who will be delivering our message of inspiration today. We've switched up how we let newcomers know about the different areas of the sanctuary and the ways you can learn more about us within it. We now offer sheets, which you'll, if you're not in the front row, will probably see somewhere in front of you in a seat back, and post that information in the cappuccino room. But for now, we'll say that you're welcome here, as is everyone seeking a spiritual community, and that our mission here at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Our theme for September is ingathering. When I Googled ingathering, because it was a word I hadn't seen before, I found out it can mean several things as defined by the Collaborative International Dictionary of English. One of those things can mean gathering in, assembling a group of people like we're doing right now, or it can refer to the gathering of a literal or metaphorical harvest. How fitting then that we're starting our congregational year, our first time back from the summer, talking about activism as a spiritual practice, how we might turn our spirits to the work of tilling the fields of justice, and how the harvest of that justice might nourish our spirits as well. Now, to be completely transparent with you, when I rolled up this morning and I heard the music going and I felt my spirit stirred and I saw Susanne and Leslie and Allison doing their thing, it occurred to me that the opening words I had planned might, in contrast, seem a little bit pessimistic. So if you're one of those lovely folks who came in today chomping at the bit and your spirit was already spurred to action and that's just the wavelength you sort of default to, thank you so much, because I need people like you. And what I'm about to say next may not resonate with you the most, and that's cool because maybe something else in this service will. To those of you who maybe lean a little bit more skeptical or pessimistic on the topic of activism as a spiritual practice, maybe you'll relate to some of this. When I saw the theme of today's service after I'd signed up to weave it, I felt my mind immediately transported back in time about 3 years ago to December of 2022. And those of you who were in the city in December of 2022 will remember that it was unprecedentedly, unseasonably warm for Toronto. Christmas was just a few weeks away, but we hadn't yet had a single snowfall that stuck to the ground, even for really a matter of hours. Temperatures routinely broke into the double digits. I was in my second last semester of my degree and attending school mostly online, which gave me all day during and between lectures to glance nervously at the wide, warming world outside. I'd long known about the scientific community's consensus on anthropogenic climate change, of course, and that our trajectory was growing bleaker with each passing year, but it was hitting harder this winter. In nearly 3 decades of living in Toronto, I'd never seen a winter so warm, nor read so many bleak headlines about glacier loss, flash floods, extreme storms brought on by weather patterns that just weren't happening like this 50 years ago. When my friends took to the street in the name of land defense or divestment from fossil fuels or safe shelter from the freezing rain for our unhoused neighbors, all I could think was, taking to the streets isn't going to make it colder tomorrow. I was weighed down with guilt, really, but I couldn't bring myself to go out and join them. Some days I couldn't bring myself to get out of bed. At the time, I was taking an elective course from Seneca College called Toronto, Citizenship in the 21st Century. It was run in partnership with the college and the city, and it sought to teach students about the history of the city of Toronto, the roots of its contemporary challenges, and how we could seize the reins as active, engaged citizens of Toronto in the years to come. I remember this was around the time of the election in 2022 when then Mayor John Tory won a landslide third victory in an election that saw less than 30% voter turnout. Going to one of these electives lectures at City Hall, it was about climate resiliency and about how the city was planning its climate resilient infrastructure in residential areas on floodplains. Or, they were planning to plan it. They were thinking about, talking about, planning to maybe plan it once this guy was out of power. It all felt like some kind of mean cosmic joke. Now, my professor, Dr. Gus Lynn Peluso, who I'm proud to consider a friend now, is a pretty cool dude. He's got a pretty rad pedagogy, one that really values authenticity. So when he told the class, your final presentation is to detail your plans for future civic action, I saw an opportunity to be brutally honest. I walked for a half hour down the Danforth. I took a picture of every single leaflet or poster for any protest or demonstration that I saw that my friends had been at. I threw them all into a PowerPoint slide with something about how none of those protests even made local news. I filled more slides with depressing climate statistics and a small tirade about how the poorest areas of the city see the most hospitalizations and ER visits for heat-related illnesses, and no one's really doing anything about it. I titled my presentation, Effective Altruism for Heavy Hearts, subtitle, Engaged Torontonian Citizenship at the End of the World. And made my stance at the time very clear. We've gotten ourselves into such a mess, I said, that I don't see how activism is going to get us out of it at this point. And if you're going to make me be an engaged, altruistic, active citizen, it's only because I see the end of the world coming and I don't believe any of my fellow humans deserves to go through that alone. Yes, I was very proud of myself for standing up and being the pessimist in the room. I thought it was real brave at the time. Anyway, fast forward 3 years. How did I go from that to being here, to finding this community, to becoming a practicing Unitarian Universalist, to joining our social and environmental action committee, to snatching the chance to weave a service on activism as a spiritual practice? How in 3 years did I go from whatever that was to going to rallies again, to distributing flyers door to door? To be completely honest, I don't quite know. On a cognitive level, most of my pessimism hasn't actually changed, although I now recognize that that is not a belief held universally. But rather than feeling that negativity, that skepticism clawing at my chest from the inside, day in, day out, all the time, I find myself more able to hold it at arm's length, and that distance makes room for something else. For every horrifying news article that graces my timeline, I have a community of people, not faces on the internet, but like real, actual people who I know, meditating on it, praying on it, talking about it, and then convening after service to discuss what we're going to do about it. For every 100 change.org petitions I see, none of which seem to go anywhere, I see 100 pen and paper signatures on a petition that someone I know printed out and passed around to my spiritual community and their communities, all united in protest against Bill C-5. Something in my spirit that I didn't have 3 years ago is sustaining something important. Somewhere the edges of those two worlds, the hard, dirty labor of justice and the balm of spiritual practice and loving community, started to grow into each other in a way that feels like it might be worth having hope for. I don't know exactly how, but Maybe by the end of service, I'll have a better idea. No pressure, Leslie. Anyway, speaking on the edges of worlds growing, theologian and civil rights activist Howard Thurman once wrote, "Look well to the growing edge. All around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against a time where there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhausted lung, the one more thing to try when all else has failed, the upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavor. This is the basis of hope in moments of despair. The incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and men have lost their reason. The source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten into ash. The birth of the child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge incarnate. Look well to the growing edge." On that note, we rise.
We rise. On the screen right now is 3 photos taken from a recent protest that our members were active in. There's Kurt and Allison and I and Michael and Leslie there too, checking in on him. He had just been dragged out in handcuffs from RBC. This was an action organized by FACA, Faith and Climate Action, that Neighborhood is a part of. And I wanted to share and sing with you, if you'll sing with me, one of the songs that was sung very repeatedly at this action as the people that were inside the RBC were being pulled out and arrested. This is We Rise by Batia Levine. You are welcome to rise as well. All right. We rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. Let's try it together. We rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, up from the wreckage, rise, with tears and with courage, rise, fighting for life, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer. we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. So I'm Julia. This is the Time for All Ages, and I would love to invite anybody who wants to join us here, the young apart. Oh, the very, very young apart of my heart. Oh, my gosh. No, it's too, yeah, but this is fine. This is very close. Thank you. Hello. He steals the show, like he can, a future, yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but people ask me, what is a Unitarian Universalist? And, like at the beginning, I was like kind of tongue-tied. I was trying to remember everything and, not make it too complicated. And then, I came across this 8 Principles song, and whenever anyone says to me, hey, you, what do you believe? I don't worry, I can't go wrong. I just remember this important song. And, when something is a song, I don't know about you, but it helps me remember better when I'm singing it, so it's really in here. And in a minute, Kiana and I are going to teach you the words, the actions, and then Susanne is going to play the music, so we can try it together. How does that sound? And our principles are important, because if we didn't have our principles, we would come here and it would be lovely, we could meet as a community and have coffee, tea together and talk, but without the principles, they're what bonds us. They're the work we have to do. And they guide us so that we can contribute in a good way and in an actionable way to the world that we all share. So this is the 8 principles, the words first. All right, are you ready? 1, each person, if you want to do it with me, go ahead. Each person, so Kiana and I drew on our fingers, each person is important. So hold up the fingers of one hand, with the other, you show that they're important. Each person is important. 2, be kind in all you do. So we're shaking hands to show that, we have each other's backs, we're there for each other. 3, we help each other learn. So with one hand, you do like this gesture, this gesture. We help each other learn. And the other hand is like you hold it like a book. So they can learn for themselves. You're not telling them what to believe. You're encouraging them to learn, right? And 4, that's kind of simple, search for what is true. 5, again, all people have a vote. I vote, my vote counts.
What you're doing, please?
Yes, sorry, you raise your hand to say that you're like voting. And work for a peaceful world, you do the peace sign, and with the peace sign, you do the world. You outline the world with the peace sign. And the web of life's the way is the 7th principle, and you just like interlace your fingers to create like a web, however you want to show it. And then the last one, and the 8th principle, how long ago was that added? Do you remember? Maybe a year, not that long, 2? Yes. So the song before would end there, the web of life's the way, but now, it took us long enough, but we haven't, yes. And we stop systemic racism, the stop sign. All right. Are we ready to try? Okay. 1, each person is important. 2, be kind in all you do. 3, each other learn, 4, and search for what is true, 5, all people have a vote, 6, work for a peaceful world, 7, no rabbit lives away, and we stop systemic racism. Yay! Oh, now, sorry, Susanne mentioned that this song ended very abruptly. So she said, she just spontaneously went with the piano, yay! So I love that way of ending it. So it's not like, you're not hanging there, so you could always do a Y with your body. Can we just do it once more? Is that okay? Just to really get it there. All right. One, each person is important. 2, be kind in all you do. 3, we help each other learn. 4, and search for what is true. 5, all people have a vote. 6, work for a peaceful world. 7, the weather flies away, and we stop systemic racism. Yay! Thank you. Oh, and so now we are going to create art to go with each principle, so that at the end of the month when we do the sing, show, and tell, we're going to sing the song if we feel comfortable, and if we feel comfortable, we can show our art, maybe have it displayed on the screen while we sing it. Sound good? Great. All right, thank you.
Is it not the song?
It is, you're
It
right.
is. Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm going to teach you a brand new song that just was written 2 weeks ago, not by me, but by a friend and comrade, Natalie Fachet. The song is about the 1,000 Madeleine flotilla that's right now on its way to Israel to break the siege on Gaza. And for me personally, I find this action and this story so incredibly hopeful to see global citizens, there's citizens from 44 countries represented doing the work that our governments aren't doing and heading out in 50 boats to deliver humanitarian aid and food to starved citizens. So I was thinking, Tab, when you were speaking, like you don't know what happened, and I wonder if it's hope that you found in community that got you going again on activism, because those little moments of hope is what fuels us to keep going. So this is, unlike other protest songs, like a celebration song of hope and of the human spirit. So I'm going to teach it to you first. The choruses and the verses all have the same melody. I'll sing it through once and then I'll teach it. Flotilla, 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 we're going to break the siege. So we'll do a line at a time. Flotilla, flotilla, repeat after me. Flotilla, 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 flotilla. First line, same as third. Flotilla, 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 flotilla. We're going to break the siege. We're going to break the siege. And I welcome you to move with the song in any way that feels right. You can stand if you would like, dance if you would like, clap if you would like. All of your bodies are welcome. Flotilla, 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 flotilla. flotilla, flotilla, flotilla. We're going to break the siege. We are the free people. We are the free people. We. All right, everyone.
We're going to break the siege.
Okay, first verse. We are the free people. We are the free people. We are the free people. Sailing to break the sea. Flotilla, flotilla. Flotilla, flotilla. Flotilla, flotilla. We're going to break the siege, going to the heart of the world, going to the heart of the world, going to the heart of the world, Gaza, the heart of the world. Flotilla, 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 flotilla. Flotilla, flotilla, we're going to break the siege. Flotilla, 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 we're going to break the siege. We're going to break the siege. We're going to break the siege. May it be so.
The growing edge, everybody. Now, our speaker, Leslie, wears many hats which qualify her to deliver our message of inspiration, but I'm not going to give you a hat list. I'm going to introduce her in the words of her friend, our own Susanne. Susanne writes, Leslie is a formidable human being that brings big mama bear energy to other humans and the natural world. Mama bear, all caps. She is deeply caring, compassionate, courageous, trustworthy, passionate, and is living a life of action where her values manifest in her approach to others, to spirituality, and to politics. Her life has been dedicated to helping other humans and the planet be healthy through writing, teaching, activism, parenting, speaking, singing, volunteering for various groups. I am grateful to know her and consider her a friend, and am inspired by how she is living her life.
I realize the stickers on my laptop tell you a lot of what you need to know about me. All right. Can you go back to the slide that has a picture of me? That's the one. That's a picture of me wearing the keffiyeh that I'm wearing now, and I'm holding a mic and holding my phone in my hands, speaking very passionately outside to a group of people. This was July 19th, and about 30 seconds after this picture was taken, I was arrested, and I spent the night in jail. And although it's surprising to some, it was actually the first time I was arrested. It's been attempted a few other times. At the time, I was giving an invited speech to a gathering of a few hundred people who were protesting Israel's genocide of Palestinians and Canada's complicity in their war crimes. I had been asked as a doctor to speak about the state of the healthcare system in Gaza and to speak to my own engagement in the movement toward Palestinian liberation. As I was sharing the pleas of a Palestinian medical colleague, The microphone was ripped from my hands so they could be cuffed behind my back. At the time, I was 35 days into a hunger strike and had just that morning cleaned out my office from my place of work for 20 years, in part due to the resistance of my institution to my advocacy. A UU friend, Riley, commented that I was now part of a proud UU tradition, being arrested for speaking up against injustice. You can move forward on the slides. Thank you. Unitarianism emerged out of a pushback on the Christian teachings of the Trinity, which was the basis for widespread and violent persecution of non-Christians in Spain in the 1500s. Its evolution and expansion throughout Europe and to North America continued in a tradition of freedom of thought and enlightenment. The spiritual principles and foundation of Unitarian Universalists led prominent UUs to advocate for gender equity, abolition of slavery, civil rights, anti-fascism, marriage equality, and ecological protection. Many of these people took significant personal, professional, and legal risks in the name of justice. A proud tradition indeed. I came to Unitarian Universalism as a recovering Catholic in my 30s. Jesus was my first example of radical, anti-oppressive love in action. I joined this faith tradition because the principles reflected what were already in my soul. Being a member of this community has reinforced these values and allowed me to deepen my spiritual calling through these principles with like-minded others. I've been nourished by fellow UUs who model what fierce love in action looks like. The day after I was incarcerated overnight, I headed to Unicamp to help my kid, that awesome one over there, lifeguard for the week. I arrived to a hero's welcome, yet again reinforcing the rightness of this chosen community. Our principles call us to action. Action rooted in love for the interconnected web of which we are all a part, and the yearning for justice to uphold the worth and dignity of all beings. I believe that to truly hold our 8 principles with integrity, we must live them out. Action is also one of the best antidotes to despair. Our world is suffering in many ways. The climate crisis, rising fascism, economic and social instability, these are all entangled and can feel overwhelming. Not only are we spiritually called as UUs to act, taking action is one of the best ways to cope with distress. The recently departed Joanna Macy articulates this so beautifully in her concept of active hope. And there are many ways to kiss the earth. You need not be arrested. Although, when asked by others how I am after the quote-unquote trauma of being arrested, I reflect that I am fine and grateful to have served. I spent my 10 hours in custody connecting with others of conscience who had been arrested for demanding an end to genocide through meditating, singing, and reflecting on the immense privilege and thus responsibility I have simply by luck of birth. But we need not all be arrested, and in fact, that works against the movement. To be arrested is to literally be stopped. I am currently prohibited from participating in protests or demonstrations in the city of Toronto, and that is not helpful. One of my favorite principles of activism, in fact, of all systems, is that of diversity. Diversity provides interest, beauty, resilience, and balance. We see it in our bodies, we see it in gardens, we see it in healthy communities, and in activism, we need a diversity of tactics. You can advance to the next slide, please. Here is a beautiful sentiment by educator Ursula Wolf-Roca that came up in Susanne's first song today. It can be overwhelming to witness, experience, take in all the injustices of the moment. The good news is that they're all connected. So if your little corner of work involves pulling at one of the threads, you're helping to unravel the whole damn cloth. And I would add that we can then all work together to weave something more beautiful. The next slide, please. And that one, thank you. I know this is not legible. It's up here to illustrate, it's a list of words, tiny little script, and it's up there to illustrate plethora in a really kind of hard to take in way. It's just a list of words. But this was a list created by a person named Gene Sharp in 1973, and he was the first, to my knowledge, to have systematically documented methods of nonviolent action. These images, I think, have already been made available to you in preparation, or at least will be after the service. Okay. I just want to pause for a second and speak about nonviolence. As somewhat of an aside, but not quite, we are a culture and certainly a faith tradition that denounces violence. In principle, I am absolutely a pacifist, and also the United Nations has encoded the right of an oppressed people to resist by any means necessary. I do not condemn violent resistance, nor do I succumb to the stigmatized labeling of terrorism. That is a term used by oppressors to suppress righteous resistance. In an overused but powerful example, Nelson Mandela was labeled a terrorist until he wasn't. Now he's considered a hero. Land defenders here on Turtle Island, protecting their territory and their ways from the genocidal project of so-called Canada, are not infrequently referred to as terrorists. We must cultivate our compassion to ask why people resort to violence. Nonviolent movements are almost always flanked by violence or the threat of violence. Think of the interplay between Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X in progressing the civil rights movement. But back to Gene Sharp. Drawing on innumerable examples of resistance across time and place, he articulated 198 nonviolent actions organized by theme. It is an inspiring list. It is a bit overwhelming, and others have organized them in different ways. So the next slide illustrates one additional way this can be organized. I recognize, again, very tiny. You will have access to these after, and I have kind of reproduced this on the pages on the back doors there. We're going to do an activity with them in a minute. Eric McBay and others organized these themes into a taxonomy, which I have found to be immensely helpful as a way to discern the time and place for these tactics. He is also explicit about the risks and resources involved and does actually include violence in his framework, recognizing its place and the risk inherent. You can move to the next slide, please. I want to pause for another minute and comment on things being too political. This is something I hear a lot. I hear it within families. I hear it in the context of organizations, including the UU community. Charitable status is often cited as the reason, and I challenge this. Everything is political. All injustices are due to policy. Denial of human rights, policy. Institutional racism, policy. Manufactured famine, policy. We can't counter injustice without wading into politics. There is no risk to an organization's charitable status by being political, especially if the stated mission and values of that organization include, for example, justice in the case of UU institutions, or health in the case of my professional institutions. In fact, it is an act of organizational integrity, and issues are usually only considered too political when it's riskier to take a stance. Being a welcoming congregation, being anti-racist, these were extremely political and risky stances for UUs over our history, and UUs of conscience took action anyway. I am going to pause here. We're going to do joys and concerns, and I'll come back afterwards with an activity for us all to do.
Thank you, Leslie. As we digest the first half of today's message, I invite you now to spend a moment of silence, just noticing and sitting with whatever it's brought up for you. Susanne will play piano gently to cue us back from our moment of silent reflection.
Describe the song. This is a song by Jennifer Castle. We've sung it here before, and I've sung it at actions and vigils. It's a call to justice and peace and freedom to be with us. And I think for this, it's a nice, calm song. It's okay to stay seated, but of course, if you want to stand, that's okay too. I'll teach it to you phrase by phrase, and then we'll get it going. So the first line is, justice, my sister. Can we try that? Justice, my sister, I need you this very hour. I need you this very hour. Where are you? Where are you? Let's sing the whole thing together on justice, then we'll replace it with peace and with freedom. We could sing justice in unison and then the harmonies. Okay. Justice, my sister, I need you this very hour. Where are you? Peace, my sister.
Okay, now it's your turn. As I said, there are many ways to kiss the earth. There are 198 methods of nonviolent action that Gene Sharp articulated. They've been formed and reformed into taxonomies that are articulated at the back. There are acts of omission, so opting out of things. There are acts of commission, doing things. Some are direct action, some are indirect action, some include supporting others in the work that they do. Some are building a better world, some are civilly disobedient, and different things are going to sing to different people. So I'm going to describe a few issues that I have been personally active in addressing. And then at the back, what did we call it, a plinth? The plinth. There are pieces of paper on the doors in the back with a table beneath it, and there are small pieces of paper with different colors that correspond to the issues that I'm going to describe now. And when I've described the issues, I invite everybody to stand up, go back, help yourself to one or two of the slips, think about it yourself, talk to others, and stick them where you think they belong as examples of these actions. So if you can progress the slide, please. So the 6 issues are here, and the colors correspond to the actions that are on the back table. One was that I care about the health of our planet. Pretty basic, pretty core to Unitarian Universalism principles. 2, my workplace created an excessive and harmful personal protective equipment policy related to COVID. It required practitioners to wear more personal protective equipment than was expected by public health. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the city escalated attacks against unhoused individuals living in encampments. The fourth one is that our next door neighbors applied to the city to demolish their house and build a larger one on the lot. A mature fir tree stood on the footprint of the new house, requiring its removal. 5, as a longtime naturopathic doctor who cares deeply about the health of the planet, I have been encouraging our institutions to lean into a leadership role with respect to environmental sustainability and justice. I was routinely told this was too political. And number 6, when the most recent eruption in Palestine occurred, all of my professional institutions were silent, and First Unitarian remains silent. So we'll pause. I'll invite you to stand up, and either on your own or with a neighbor. Choose one of the tactics that are on the table at the back. The colors, again, correspond to the issue. Look at the array of many different things that a person could do to take action. Stick it where you think it belongs. There are no wrong answers. It might belong in more than one place. And also think about what Unitarian Universalism principles this action might uphold. You can also think about your own personal comfort or interest in that tactic. Good? Instructions clear? No. Not clear? No? So at the back, there are pieces of paper on the door there at the back with the different categories of actions that a person could take on any issue. On any issue, I'm using these examples. You are. On the table at the back, there are little slips of paper that have colors corresponding to the issues that describe actions I personally have taken on these issues. So inviting people to pick up a piece of paper, read it, think about the issue, and say, where on this categorization does it belong? It's just a way to become familiar with different types of actions a person could take. Sure, an example, I've stuck one up there already to get the ball rolling, but here's an example. Advocates for Palestinian liberation call on us to boycott companies and institutions that uphold apartheid and occupation. So like many people, I've decided not to attend TIFF this year, for example, because of some of the ways, not completely, but some of the ways in which they've partnered with Israeli institutions and filmmakers. So that's an example of a boycott. So if you're still slightly confused, I think other people are getting the instructions so you can just chat with the others around you. So Susanne will call us back in when the time is right. So everything's at the back there of the room.
Friends at the back, you're welcome to finish off just as Leslie wraps up, and anyone that didn't have a chance to check out all of those ways of actions are welcome to do so after the service.
Absolutely. Just by a quick show of hands, how many people felt some degree of discomfort when considering any of the actions? Yeah. Yeah. The idea of somebody else doing them or doing them yourself, you know, some people might disagree with some of them, some might feel like they can't risk certain things, and that's perfectly fine. Another show of hands, how many people felt inspired to maybe do something that they hadn't considered before? Good, amazing. So both can be true, and perhaps they should be. We can progress the slide to the one with the ovals. So again, small text, I realize you will have access to this after. So we have 3 concentric ovals on the screen. This represents the concept of the zone of growth. We heard about the living edge earlier. Growth requires doing something that's new or challenging, and that can be hard. It can be tempting to stay within a zone of comfort or fear. That red oval there, it's avoiding conflict, it's complicated, avoiding risk-taking, being threatened by challenges or needing safety, and that's a perfectly okay place to be. You know, we all need to be there sometimes. I've shared a number of consequences I've experienced for stepping into the learning and zone of growth. The learning is the reflection, the curiosity, the challenging assumptions, the noticing sensations, the feeling in your body of that discomfort. That's the learning area. And then the growth is really, for me, where the spirituality lies. That's the spiritual purpose of my life, is growth into that expansion, that generation, that giving of abundance, that faith that there's a reason to be doing these things. And it's super scary. And I would argue that radical action, radical just means root, so action that shakes the roots of problems, that's uncomfortable. It's super scary. And the systems that be are designed to keep us in the zone of comfort or fear. Our society is bombarded with messages that speaking up is risky or wrong, that doing things differently is risky or wrong, that nothing can be done anyway, right? I had to remind my mother of this when I was arrested, that she should be angry with the state, not with me. But growth, although it can be uncomfortable, need not be unpleasant. In fact, because dismantling systems of injustice will take time, our actions have to be sustainable. And to be sustainable, they must be joyful. Susanne and I met singing for justice. There's a beautiful poster in her office of us doing that. The discomfort must be tolerable. We must feel that we are expanding our skills, our souls, our networks, our purpose. We are meant to be expansive. That's what our spirits want to do. We need all of it. We need all of those tactics. We need warriors, something I've been called many times, both in positive and negative connotations, who are willing to put their bodies and reputations on the line. We need intellectuals, those who can curate information and educate others. We need those with social and institutional power who can change systems from within. We need caregivers to create healing spaces for the collective. We need artists who can tap into our emotions and inspire us. We need spiritual sages who can remind us of our connection to the sacred and the need to care for our souls. I'm going to skip the next slide. It will be there for you later if you want to visit it. But I'll finish with this, that there are blank pieces of paper at the back that you will be able to see during coffee time. And we invite you to write down an issue that you care about and consider an action that you might be interested in taking on that issue. One that falls at least into your learning zone, if not your growth zone. Place it on the taxonomy, and if you are particularly brave, add some contact information so that others can reach out to you about participating on this issue and in this action. Also on the back table are some buttons in the spirit of community and mentorship that belonged to the recently departed wife of a friend of mine who have been lifelong fervent anti-Zionist Jewish radical activists. And he gave me that pile of buttons, and I promised to redistribute them. So please help yourself freely. Community makes activism more sustainable, more successful, and more fun. There is an event at Neighborhood this very evening to prepare for the September 20th Draw the Line protest. It will be the perfect opportunity to dip your toe or fully immerse yourself in community, creativity, and resistance as a spiritual practice. And in closing, as the Talmud powerfully reminds us, do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Maybe I should turn and look at you, Tam. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the second half of our time together, our message. Earlier, I mentioned that ingathering can be defined as an assembly of people or as reaping a harvest. Did you know that it can also be defined as a request for a sum of money? I'm not lying. International Collaborative Dictionary of English. Google it if you don't believe me. And while you have your phone out, now is the time for our offertory. Members of Neighborhood choose a variety of ways to give, either through offerings in our basket, or from their banks, or from any of the links in our lovely QR code, which you now see on the screens before you, which leads you to the donation page of our website. In all ways, I ask you to be generous. Greeters, please bring the baskets to me when the money is collected. And in the meantime, I am thrilled to share with you the life of the community and What a lively community it is. I'm not reading off a tablet anymore, so I'm gonna pop over here. Reminder that our beloved music director, Susanne Maziarz, will be taking a 1-month sabbatical to focus on deepening her practices of spiritual discipline. Her time away from NUUC will begin after our service next Sunday, and she will not be reachable via email or phone until she returns for our October 19th service. September 15th to October 18th inclusive. Sue sabbatical. Godspeed. Sign up for a small group. We have Writing from the Four Directions with Peter Marmarek happening every Wednesday, October 8th through November 26th, 7:30 to 10 p.m. Deepen and expand your writing practice in a supportive small group setting. Only 3 spots as of the time this slide went up still available. It's closed? Dang, look at you. There is no good card for this, with Reverend Sally Fritchie happens on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month from September 9th through to December 9th, 5 to 6 p.m. This group is practical guidance on what to say and what to do when friends are going through hard times. Inspired by the book of the same name, There is no good card for this, by Kelsey Crow and Emily McDowell. Owning the book is not required to participate in the group. Finally, we have Art as a Spiritual Practice with Christina Keel. 2 different time options on Wednesday and Thursday evenings.
That's not actually true. The workshop is once a month. The workshops are happening on Wednesday evenings. The first one is September 17th.
Butte. So for those on Zoom, the workshop is happening once a month on Wednesday evenings. What is the time for that?
Between 7 and 9 p.m.
Between 7 and 9, and the first one you said is September 17th. Sign up sheet in the cappuccino room. Nice. Deepen your spiritual practice by engaging in meditative, artistic activities, no experience required. We have karaoke night coming up on Saturday, September 13th at 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. with DJ Joe Strakowski and host Allison Kabayama. Bring your voice, a snack to share, and your beverage of choice. Draw the Line, a Toronto rally and march for people, for peace, for the planet is happening on Saturday, September 20th at 2 p.m. at Yonge and Dundas, and a march at 4 p.m. to Queen's Park. For more info or to join organizing efforts, email Tony at president@nuuc.ca. Tony, did you want to come speak on? Beautiful. Mike's yours.
Thanks, Tab, and thanks so much, Leslie and Suzanne, and also Julia. Everything in today's service reminds me of one of the things I really love about being human, and that is our ability to take stock of a situation, put our heads together, and decide what to do next. And if the available or familiar options of what to do next don't seem to fit the bill, we have an unlimited potential for coming up with new responses to situations, new creative ways of being together and around with the people around us. Draw the Line is a global initiative focused on September 20th this month, of actions around the world. And it's really, that's what it is. It's people around the world who have come together to try to figure out what to do about the fixes we're in, the climate crisis, the crisis of war, the crises of inequality and oppression that lead to the migration crisis. All of these are interlocked. All of these need creative solutions, and there's lots of great ideas that are floating around and being shared and being pressured into action, hopefully. And that's what this is all about. Neighborhood has endorsed the Toronto event, and if you want to see something really inspiring, go to the website of Draw the Line and see the Canada page. You just go drawtheline.world, and you'll see the Canada page there. And the list of endorsers is wonderfully long. We're in really good company and very, very diverse and across Canada. So that's what we're part of. And our special contribution, as Leslie mentioned, is tonight, right here, 6:30 to 9. Drop in any time. Suzanne and Julia and Nancy are leading, and there's going to be some great food here, art materials to make all sorts of creative things to take to the September 20th action, including signs, perhaps giant puppets if we have the energy, and also songs to share, letter writing, and discussion. So drop in anytime tonight and be part of it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tony.
That's the poster for tonight.
That is the poster for tonight. Glad you said all that because I wasn't going to be able to read it. My eyes are good, but not that good. We have a Social and Environmental Action Committee meeting on Thursday, September 11th at 7 p.m. It will be happening over Zoom at the usual NUUC service link, which those of you subscribed to our mailing list receive in your inbox every week. Join to discuss the many opportunities to support justice and the earth this month. Check the screen in the Cappuccino Room and your Friday weekly email for more announcements and information about opportunities to connect at Neighborhood, because the opportunities to connect really never stop around these parts. Our next service will happen on Sunday, September 14th. We're back to every week. Our message is Water and Stone, with Reverend Sally Fritchie speaking. Our music will be from our own spirit choir. Our service weaver will be Peter Marmarek, and the Time for All Ages with Julia Thompson.
Thanks. As the gifts are coming forward, I invite you to rise in spirit to sing a setting of those words from the Talmud that Leslie just shared with us by Unitarian minister and friend and previous member to Neighborhood, Reverend Lynn Harrison. I don't think I'm going to teach it. I think I'll just pull you along with me. Many of you know the song already. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now, love mercy now, go humbly now. You need not complete the work, but you cannot abandon it. You need not complete the work, but you cannot abandon it. Do justly now, love mercy now, go humbly now. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now, love mercy now, go humbly now. Do justly now, love mercy now, go humbly now.
Thank you. As our friend Dave extinguishes our chalice, please join the congregation and Susanne in singing our chalice extinguishing song. But, give him a moment. I invite you now to connect physically as we have spiritually, and that could be with a hand, or a touch of a shoulder, or a shared glance, or a moment of shared awareness of the other. Today I leave you with the words of Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Do not forget the pigeon's food. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Do not forget those who seek peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others, those who are nursed by clouds. As you return home to your home, think of others. Do not forget the people of the camps. As you sleep and count the stars, think of others, those who have nowhere to sleep. As you liberate yourself in metaphor, think of others, those who have lost the right to speak. As you think of others far away, think of yourself. Say, if only I were a candle in the dark. Our service has ended. Go in love. And if you can, please come back this evening. I hope to see many of you there.